Hi my darlings, welcome, välkomna, добро пожаловать. My name is Salmansa Rogers. Today is Friday and another True Crime Stories with Sal. Missed you guys, hope everyone is doing well. Sorry for no video previous week, but I promise I'll make up to you guys for that with this video. As you guys probably already read by the title, today's video is crazy, so I do want to do a quick warning before we start. I will be talking about cannibalism, mutilation of a body, of course, murder, and torture. So if this is something that you don't want to hear today and it's a little bit too much for you, I totally understand. Just click out of this video, and I hope I see you in my next video. Another thing that I also wanted to mention, like I always do, I will be revealing the perpetrator's real identity with photos and name, as you guys also probably saw in the title of this video, but I will be renaming the victim. And I have explained it before. It's because I feel like, in my opinion, I want the perpetrator to be identified and people know who he or she is, because it's a lot of the cases it's always the victim. We always know the victim's face, name, or what have you. In some cases they even blur out the perpetrator, or his identity or her identity is hidden. In my opinion, I feel like the perpetrator should definitely be known, just in case he or she is let out there years later and people can recognize them on the street, be like, oh, that's the person that did such and such. So, and I also want to just to kind of like due to respect, and kind of keep the victim's identity in my videos private. You can always Google. It's a Google click away. You can always find out who the person is by just typing in the perpetrator's name, and you guys can research the case by your own if you want to. But I feel like in my little community here, True Crime Stories with Sal, I want to shine the light on the perpetrator and just respect the victim. It's the family's been through enough as is, and this case is actually still ongoing case. Okay, my darlings. So with all of that being said, let's jump into today's case. Okay, drinking my, actually it's instant coffee today, dark roast, pretty good. Anyways, so today's case, buckle up my loves. It's a pretty recent. This happened in 2019 in Morrice, Michigan, a little small town, I believe. Not a huge town, but a little, outskirts, small town of Michigan. The victim in this case, who I will refer to as David, was only 25 years old when this happened. And this happened, like I said, in 2019 on Christmas Eve, on December 24th. And I believe it's Christmas Eve, yeah, because Christmas Day is 25th. For me, coming from Sweden, growing up in Sweden, we always celebrate on the 24th. That's when the family's gathering, we exchange gifts and what have you, watch Christmas movies. So moving to America, it's a little bit different, because you guys here in America, most of you guys, I know some people here in America also celebrate on the 24th. So yeah, so for me it's like a little bit. So if you hear me say Christmas Day, but I'm talking about 24th, so just FYI. But anyways, this happened on the 24th of December. And to just a little background about David. So I already said his age. He was 25. According to his family and friends, he was very loved by his family and friends. He was very close to his mom and dad. And when he grew up, his parents could automatically tell what he was going to be when he grew up. When he was a little kid, he was into hair. Like, I believe as soon as he turned 6 years old, he was into braiding hair, into doing different hairstyles. If you had long hair, he would definitely insist on braiding it. So his parents kind of like already suspected him to become a hairdresser. And that's exactly what he did. He actually graduated beauty school, I believe, in 2016. And then he became a hairdresser. And according to his social media page, his Instagram, he was a very good hairdresser. He knew all about the latest trends, the styles, the cuts, the colors, and he was very, very good at his job. According to his friends and family, he could easily be the next Jeffree Star. He's actually a very much idolized Jeffree Star. If you guys don't know who that is, he's a very big beauty influencer. So that was his, his idol, if you want to put it that way. So yeah, David could easily be the next big beauty and hair influencer. But unfortunately, on December 24th, 2019, this tragedy would strike. So according to David's roommate, I believe it was a girl roommate, he was talking to someone on Grindr. Grindr is a dating app, and he, according to her, the roommate, he said that he met someone on Grindr and that he's going to meet up in person and just hang out. One source, even when I was researching this case, said that according to David, so the guy that he was talking to invited other guys, and it's gonna kind of like be a little bit like a meetup at this guy's place. So according to the roommate, it was not just David that's going to be with meeting this strange guy. It's going to be other men there too. But that's just according to one source. It could be easily wrong, and David was just the only person that was going to meet this strange guy from Grindr. Regardless, on the 24th of December, David is last seen on their door camera around 5 p.m.-ish. That's when he left the house. And yeah, that's about it. And also, according to the roommate, this was not something that was unusual. So David was active on the dating app scene. He usually talks to different guys and casually meets up with them, what have you. So it was no different with this situation. She didn't see any red flags or what have you. It was normal for him to meet up people or talk to them on the dating app and then meet up with them. So on the morning of December 25th, so the next morning, the next day, David's family was waiting for him to arrive for their Christmas morning breakfast. And after a few minutes and then an hour go by and no David, he didn't show up, his family was pretty worried because this is not something that was usual. If David was running late or what have you, he would definitely call them. And plus it's Christmas, it's, a family gathering. So they were pretty worried. So they start calling David's phone and go straight to voicemail, no calls or what have you. Then they contact David's roommate and she tells them that last time she spoke with him was last evening when he was supposed to meet up with someone from Grindr, and she checked her phone to see if David contacted her in the middle of the night or what have you, but he hadn't. So both the roommate and David's parents were extremely worried now. With the help of the police, they could actually locate David's car, and it was parked at this 99-cent store, this local 99-cent store parking lot. And just a glance of the car, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Outside the car, no glasses were broken, or it didn't look like it was a struggle or what have you. Inside the car, they found David's phone, and they found some clothing items, so they assumed that he maybe brought some, clothes with him to maybe he planned on sleeping over at this guy's house that he met on Grindr, and brought some extra change of clothes or what have you. But yeah, so they didn't find anything suspicious, inside the car. No blood stain, no no DNA, no hair fibers. It didn't look like it was an attack inside or outside the car or what have. Pretty normal. But of course, finding David's phone inside of the car uh, was alarming enough, because both of David's parents and the roommate knew that David pretty much glued to his phone. Like wherever he went, the phone went with him. So to find his phone just laying in the car was very, very unusual. So, since the police knew that David was out meeting up with this strange man from Grindr, they kind of knew where to start, and luckily they had his phone to look through. I believe one source that I was reading said that the police actually contacted Grindr, but unfortunately, Grindr couldn't help the police with further information of who this person was, because they have this law that like it's Fourth Amendment law. They go by that you can't just disclose a person's personal information. In my personal opinion, I know I have a lot of opinions when it comes to my cases, but I feel like I totally understand. It's just, like people have their rights to be anonymous, or, you can't just disclose their information. But when it comes to missing person, or potentially someone in danger, or, potentially being murdered, I feel like there should be some sort of excuse, to go around that law and be like, okay, hey, this is the person's information here. But anyways, we're gonna talk about that later on in the case. But just remember, but luckily, the police 2 days later, so on the 28th, they could locate the person, this man, this mysterious man from Grindr, his location, and they come to find out that the man that David was supposed to meet up on December 24th was a 52-year-old man. His name is Mark Latunski. And they go and visit him on the 28th, in the morning of the 28th of December. They knock on his door, and when he's open, he is basically naked, has no shirt, nothing on except like a leather kilt. And he opens the door, he welcomes the police, he doesn't, put any fight or what have you. He let them look around, and when the police goes down to the basement, they discover kind of like a little hidden passage, like a little door was leading to another room. And when they walk into that room, they were met with this horrifying scene. So police finds David's body naked, hanging down from the rafters in the ceiling. He is basically attached from the ankles and hanging upside down, and blood is dripping down from his body. They could see that he was stabbed in the back of his neck, and his throat was slashed, cut up. So the blood was just pouring, dripping down on the floor. They could see parts of his body was missing flesh pieces, parts of his body. And his genitals, his testicles were missing, were cut basically off his body. And they immediately, of course, arrested Mark, and he willingly went with the police. And during the during the questioning of Mark Latunski, this is his side of the story of what happened that evening. So according to Mark Latunski, him and David was talking through Grindr, and then later on decided to meet up on December 24th. And according to Mark, they met up at this local 99-cent store parking lot, which can be confirmed because that's where they found the car, David's car. And then according to Mark, he basically was just acting up on what David requests from him. So David had like an unusual fantasy to be tied up and undressed and blindfolded. And that's exactly what Mark did. David got undressed, Mark blindfolded him, put handcuffs on him, and then put Mark in his vehicle and drove off to his house. And later on, when they arrived to Mark's house, they have consensual sex. And afterwards, David basically confided in Mark that he had suicidal thoughts, and been having them for a while, and his dream would be if Mark could end his life there and then. Mark simply was doing what David was asked of him, and he promised David that his body was not going to waste. He would actually, use his body as a fertilizer in his garden, and, use parts and bits and pieces of his body. He even admits that, yes, he cut David's testicle off and he fried them and ate them. Luckily, since they had David's phone and before they found David's location, the police went through the conversation between David and Mark through Grindr. They could find that conversation. And according to David, he was actually asking Mark to ensure him that he will be in good hands, that nothing bad would happen, because he felt like, he doesn't know this man and he's just going out there meeting a stranger. And just basically, David wanted Mark to ensure him that he's not a serial killer, that he's not going to harm him, that it's just going to be a casual meetup, and that's about it. Since the police had the conversation on the record between Mark and David, and there were no such thing as David mentioning wanted to be murdered or eaten or what have you, this clearly contradicts the story that Mark is telling the police, that he was just doing David a favor, or he was just doing things that David asked him to do. So police looked into this Mark guy a little bit more further. Police come to find out that this is not the first time that Mark Latunski been involved with the police. So 2 months prior to David's murder, unknown man just randomly calling 911 and basically is in panic and afraid. Sounds like he's very afraid on the phone, saying that he was abducted by this man on the bus stop. This man approached him. He felt like he was, charming, that he started talking. And then next thing he knew, he woke up in his basement. And he thinks that this man drugged him somehow and, it's going to do something bad to him because he was tied up in his basement. But he managed to escape and what have you. So unfortunately, this man didn't press any charges, so the police didn't look into this case any further. A month prior, so this first man that called the police, his incident happened in October, so November, a month prior to David's murder. A neighbor called the police claiming that there is a panicked man has knocked on his door, and this man is practically naked. He's only wearing a leather kilt, and he is claiming that his neighbor Mark has abducted him and that he escaped from his basement. And during the call, Mark actually ran up to this neighbor and he claimed that he was not chasing this man. It was just like a lover's quarrel, and that he just wanted his leather kilt back because that leather kilt was pretty expensive. It cost $300 something, and that was it. And then Mark left. And then when the police arrived, the gentleman didn't want to press any charges. He just wanted to go home and basically forget about this whole incident. When the story of David's murder broke in the news, the first man that called the police in October to report Mark abducting him on the bus stop, he actually this time changed his story, and he told the police that him and Mark was actually talking on the dating app, and that he willingly went to Mark's house. And after I believe he was there for a few days. And after a few days, Mark basically tied him up and said that you're not going to go anywhere. And he just left him in that dark basement. And luckily, he was able to wiggle himself out of the restraints. And then he basically escaped. And this man also pressing charges now against Mark. A lot of people were outraged that the police didn't do anything about this when those two men reported Mark, because this could clearly have saved David's life if they looked into Mark Latunski. But according to the police, like I said, the guys didn't want to press any charges. Maybe they were, didn't want their business, their private life, their sex life, or what have you, come out there in the public, what have you. But I found a source that claims that according to these two men, they tried to, press charges, but police just kind of like, didn't want to, yeah, the police didn't help them, and they felt like police just didn't care, and they just felt like, oh, this is just, between two gay men and it's nothing serious. Police also found out that Mark Latunski was actually a family man. He was previously married to a woman and he had 4 children with her. He had a degree in chemistry and he was pretty well off. He worked as a chemist and he made a pretty good living when he was married to his wife. But I believe like 10 or 9 years into their marriage, the wife could see some different changes into Mark's behavior. His behavior changed and he started doing this weird, strange things. He could leave the house in the middle of the night and just come back in the morning without even telling her where he went. And she also, found him sitting on the couch watching like horror movies, more like a gore or like a torture, like very, very overkill, like torture gore movies. And she found him sitting there on the couch, like staring at them and talking to himself. And then it just became worse and worse. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia and a bunch of other health issues. He was prescribed medication, but at some point he stopped taking it. And according to Mark's ex-wife, he could easily, be living a normal life. He was, if he just, continued taking the medication, but he stopped doing so. So his mental health just declined rapidly. At some point, I believe, when they were in the middle of a divorce, because the wife had enough at some point and she just wanted to leave him. And she also felt unsafe in his presence and also afraid of he might potentially hurt the children. And during this ugly divorce, he actually abducted the kids and went to a water park. Because the wife had like a restraining order against him, so he could not go close to her or the kids. But he basically took the kids and went to a water park. Police found them there, and then the kids were okay, luckily. After divorcing his wife, Mark Latunski married a man, and this man's name is Jamie Arnold. I believe they were married for 3 years, and according to Jamie, he didn't suspect anything like this. I mean, he knew of Mark's behavior or like weird, sometimes weird behavior, what have you, but he never felt scared or that Mark would ever hurt him or that Mark would ever able to be, capable of a cannibalistic murder. When the news broke of the murder of David, the media, of course, kind of like also suspected Jamie to be involved or what have you, since he was, I believe, still married in 2019, still married to Mark. But according to Jamie, he actually left their mutual house, or he moved out of Mark's house in September of 2019, so 3 months prior to all of this. He had no knowledge of the man that was abducted or, holding hostage in Mark's basement, and he definitely had no knowledge about David. In fact, according to Jamie, he last saw Mark on Friday. He gave him a ride home, but Mark never asked him to, if you want to come in or what have you. He never walked in the house. He just dropped Mark off and left. And that was a Friday evening on the 27th of December. And then the Saturday morning of December 28th, that's when the police knocked on the door and found David basically hanging in, yeah, butchered in Mark's house. Mark's legal team tried to, first push this as a euthanasia case, basically saying that Mark helped David to commit suicide. But luckily, the judge didn't, approve of this at all. According to the research, I think that he first was granted that he was not capable to stand trial due to, his mental illness, mental health. But the recent update is that, they disregarded that and that he is capable of standing trial, but the trial date has not been set yet. According to David's family, they strongly believe that Mark Latunski is just playing. He's very smart. Again, he is very well educated and he is a smart man, and they think that this is just a charade. This whole blaming that insanity is just a charade, that he knew what he was doing and he's just a sadistic murderer, basically. David's parents is now also campaigning and speaking about the danger of meeting people from dating apps. They are very, very disappointed of how Grindr basically handled all of this, that they were not capable of helping them in the right time, or when the next day, basically, when they realized that David was missing, and they contacted Grindr. But again, since they have this law, they can't disclose a person's information. They basically couldn't help David or find him at all. And also some sources that when I was researching this case, saying that if Grindr would have basically giving out the information of this man that David was talking to, they might have a chance to find David alive still. Because we don't know if David was tortured or if he killed David and then proceed to cut him or what have you. So some people speculate that, maybe if David was found in time, that he was still alive and he could be rescued. Well, my darlings, that's pretty much it for today's case, and I really, really hope that the court can set a date and that Mark Latunski, I don't think that he would ever, whatever he get, like whatever, if they decide that he is mentally unstable, what have you, but I feel like he would never get out, because either way, he's a danger to society, and clearly, he should not be out and about with other human beings. And yeah, hopefully this could end soon so the family could have some sort of, justice. I also, like I always say, stay safe, but really, I wanted to just emphasize on for people that do use dating apps. I know I talked about it before, that I would never use a dating app. Not that I need to, but if I was single and wanted to use one, I don't think I wanted to meet someone through dating apps due to stories like this. I'm very paranoid. But if you are using, please tell someone where you're going. And these days we have such a modern phones now, you can easily leave share your location with your loved ones, just so they can kind of like check up on, okay, this person is there, okay, good, just in case. You never know. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, better stay safe than sorry, my darlings. What do you guys think about this case? Have you heard of it? Is there anything that I'm missing? If it's any updates that I'm maybe missing out, please let me know in the comments below. If you are about to comment about this case in general, please stay positive and nice. Remember, if this was your family or loved one, you would not want to read any mean or negative comments. So please stay positive in the comment, or just don't comment at all if you don't have any positive things to say. I'm very, very appreciative of you sitting here and watching my videos, spending time with me, taking a break from your busy life. I'm so appreciative of that. Please, my darlings, stay safe in this cruel world. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health. Share your location if you're going somewhere that you don't know, never been before, meeting with someone you never met before. Take care of yourself, okay? Don't forget to like, share, and of course, subscribe because you don't want to miss my future cases that I will be discussing. Until then, my darlings, love you so much. Have a great rest of your day. See you next Friday. Ciao, cacao.